select your god.
Hello, guys. Now, what the fuck did we just give them? I'm a Herc. That is annoying. Think I'll just do Mordred. Hope for the best. Okay. In terms of picks and bans, I think we lost this one. If they have good players on their team, this could be a bit rough. I didn't have time to think what I actually wanted to play. I was trying to set up the last few things on the stream. If I really wanted to try hard, Hades would have been good.
I have returned.
Because I was thinking I needed something that can at least kill stuff late game specifically, but Mordred is not really in that boat. So all I really gotta hope now is that I can actually... Oh, never mind. I got baited. They banned Herc and picked Morgan. Not as bad, then. That might be alright. Actually, I would say that's even worse for me. As Mordred. I'd rather deal with Hercules armor than Morrigan armor. Kinda stinks like beets, I'm not gonna lie. Or even Aegis, honestly. And I don't know what I'm against. I'm assuming I'm against the Anubis here, though. Which is potentially tragic.
One of everything.
Now, I played some ranked off stream. A bit with Dutch on his stream. 2 days ago. And I've been having so many bad servers lately. Which is definitely putting me off a bit again.
So big, so big, so big.
So big, lick my pussy.
Yo, is that Rust Enjoyer? Hell yeah, brother.
I'm the greatest.
Let's go.
History will be kind to me. I intend to write it.
Oh, I intend to write it. Huzzah!
My thought process was interrupted. I'm not sure where I was going. Oh yeah. Lag pisses me off. Especially when I'm trying to play stuff like ranked. And I can already tell this is a bad server again. So hopefully this won't keep up for long today, because otherwise I might just have to make it a short stream. I really do not want to play with lag, and it's been real bad lately. Do you see how I'm stuttering when I use my dash?
If you're a cultured individual, you will know that Sir Hammerlock from Borderlands 2 is that Fenris skin's voice actor.
I even know the actor's name on that subject. I don't know why. Like, a lot of people, like, on my last stream as well, people are just wondering why I'm lagging as much, like, because they're not really experiencing the same thing. I believe Stud and I was experiencing it a little bit. In one of the games last time. But I don't know why, but it's really pissing me off. I don't know why I'm experiencing so much lag, but it's so annoying. It completely ruins the experience, and I wish I had a reasoning for why. I know it's not on my end, it is pure server lag. So, I do not know. And there are very few gods that are playable like this. I'm not sure how easy it is to tell on stream. Oh, well, that's really bad.
Yeah, my jump didn't go off for some weird reason.
Your middle tower is under attack. Out of mana.
What? Dude, what? Who's been doing all of my stuff? Oh,
Will you get
that's
their
so
XPs because he's got no mana or no?
Probably Anubis actually, because I believe their jungler did his blue. So he just went and picked it up. No, he just... what? Did he just do his blue now? I'm so confused.
They literally won, both of them.
Well, that was a good example of the stuttering that I'm experiencing.
How am I not dead?
That worked out in the end. Lucky for me.
Centuries of waiting. I will not be denied.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Oops.
So yeah, I get one of my points though with my whole rant is if anyone has any idea of how to maybe fix it, maybe it is on my end. If it is, I do not know what it is because literally everything that I've tried and like to look at on my end, just it doesn't add up. It's really not on my end. So either Hyris just has a bunch of really bad servers located for me, but I have no idea, man. It just really bothers me. It's hard to play the game like this. Because I really do enjoy it. But Smite 2 is making this so difficult for me to enjoy.
You can have that.
Enemy missing right.
Even in just casuals. Like, it's not just happening in ranked or anything like that. Or game. It's not based on game mode. I've made sure that I'm obviously in EU and all that stuff. It's just weird. So I'm at a loss on how to enjoy it. The best thing that I've noticed is that it seems to be patch based. Like it's maybe some patches prioritize other servers. Because on some patches I have felt badly, like no issue at all. And then other patches, like the current one, it is horrible and I keep getting the bad servers. Almost every single, game almost. It's terrible. It's insane.
Cancel. I'll be right back.
And well, some gods are playable on it. You can still feel it, but some gods are playable, others are borderline unplayable on it. Like Ullr is impossible. Like anything that requires stand switching or like fast movements. I think Mordred is pretty tough on it because the constant dashing and resetting of abilities. Shock feels horrible because for some reason the teleport is real bad with it. But I also don't want to focus too much on the lag, but I do hope that I guess people notice it. Because it will keep bothering me.
An enemy has been slain. On my way. Going down.
Enemy missing middle.
I don't know if the jungler is
I
missing.
thought I'd have a clip.
It suddenly got really aggressive.
No problem. Your right tower is under attack.
I wanted to press Aegis, but dude, the lag definitely makes this tough.
I will not be
So anyway.
denied.
Let's grab. Horrific. Hello Zane, Valerian, Helena. Good to see you guys. Sexy. That's a first. But I appreciate it nonetheless.
Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy missing middle. Be careful somewhere.
Loop! The server is definitely bad, but no, the silence. It's unfortunate that Arma was right there. Don't know why she would be.
Good day.
Probably could have done gold if they really wanted to, but also maybe not. Just running out of the solo. I need just a few more games that isn't on laggy servers. I did one casual to warm up where I did not have a bad server.
Your right tower is under
I don't know.
attack.
Like, is anyone else experiencing the bad servers? Like, surely I can't be the only one. It does feel like it though. I don't see anyone else really complaining about it.
Enemy spotted.
Enemy missing right.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. You have slain an enemy. I shall return. Nice job.
Bit aggressive, because I'm gonna lose a whole wave for that. But I'm glad I got something out of it at least.
Follow me. Your middle tower.
How's the lag? It is honestly as bad as it has always been. It's only been this bad once before, and I almost quit the game.
Tower is under attack. Your
I'm not feeling it, man. It's fucking tough. Almost every game now is lacking for me. I don't understand.
has arrived. Your right tower is under attack.
just get the wave and get out.
Enemy ultimate down.
To be fair, your aspect's solved at early game. Like, you just try and get online. You don't need to be trying to kill everyone.
I mean, go in, man. What are you waiting for? I was tanking the tower for
My
you.
dick to start smelling like cheese.
The tower for him, man. Why is he just not doing anything? Oh, that's correct. Why is he here? Oh. Just get back before I die. Yeah, this is a bit of a lower elo game. I recognize him as well, and I don't think I've seen him have a single good game. Like, he seems like a decent guy though, so like I'm not in any mood to be mean to him, but how is he 2 levels above me? He just healed so much. Dude, I feel like I'm in range, but I'm just not, I guess. How is my 1 not reaching him there? I do need some anti-healing for him. He just heals way too much and everything. At least my ult can keep him in outside of tower. Like that. Oh, you meant Reese as well. Never mind. Yeah, Reese I've seen has some good games. I thought you were talking about the Fenrir. I'll just try and do what I can this game, but like I can't carry this one late game. And they have Amma, Anubis, Morrigan, Uller.
Literally all 5 of them here.
Anubis is dead, brother. Lies. At max, it's 4.
Has been slain. Defend the gold fury. Defend the gold fury.
I mean, I would defend, but it's too late now. And my team isn't going, so.
Enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
Dude, what the fuck, man? It's like the lag's getting worse. I can't even clear the wave properly now.
Unstoppable.
Imagine if you just traded, bro. Lucky.
I backed in front of you. What are you talking about?
Your left
From
tower
Pyro, by the way.
going down. Your right tower is under attack.
That didn't reach, I guess. I'm fully down to surrender.
The game's even. Why? Like, people at this elo have no mental at all.
Actually, I'm gonna we don't have mid or jungle.
It doesn't matter. The game's even. Like, stop trying to surrender. Dutch Whisperer does this all the time. It winds me up.
I'm lagging like fuck though. I'm not really having a whole lot of hope for this.
It's just, like, you might as well try though. It's a ranked game. Like, it's even. You know what I mean? If games were genuinely surrendered as often people put votes up, you'd have like 1,000 losses and 5 wins.
Your middle tower is under
I understand his viewpoint, but I don't agree with it in this case. He's a little too high on copium for this one.
enemies in middle lane.
Like in this case, our main carry at the moment, being the Sol, is super far behind. Let's grab anti-healing.
Has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
I think it's fine though. If people still want to play the game, I still want to like give my best. But playing with lag is, as I mentioned, like 10 times by now. It's so unenjoyable to me. I'd rather surrender and just play a different one. Oh, that didn't even hit. There's no, it should have hit, man. Dude, I can't play Mordred like this. Everything I do lags so much. It's so unenjoyable. Like, I feel like that should have been a kill like 3 times. But I can't hit anything properly. Like, come on, man.
Killing spree.
That guy loves me, that Hammer. He's been here like 7 times.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemy spotted.
I mean, maybe if my jungler would show up just once. He's so dead, man.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Like, what do I even build here? I need everything.
Enemy spotted.
Grab some cooldown, I guess.
Enemies in middle lane.
Been here long enough.
Ultimate is down. Your right tower is under attack.
I will say this though, if I do have another game with a lag, I think I might just end the stream, because I'd rather do something else than play a laggy game. I just hope that Hyris somehow fixes this. I've tried to voice my complaints with the constant lagging servers for me,
Your team has
but I haven't really heard them say anything. So, I don't know what to do about it.
right back.
And I can go literally play any other online game and it won't be an issue. Like, what am I experiencing right now? Just lagging like crazy.
Follow me, curses.
I'll TP over.
An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Attack the cold
Enemy
fury.
missing middle. Your team has destroyed the gold fury. Enemies in middle lane. An enemy has been
well
slain.
done.
Bye. Be right back.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I see that our saving grace is that their Uller is potentially not that good, so... on her.
Killing spree. Double kill.
Save yourself.
Shut down. Killing spree. Double kill.
Such a messy team fight. Can't believe that actually went in our favor. We did get 2 kills for free though, I suppose, so. Can't be too surprised.
Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
Attack fire giant.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
I'll just get Spirit Rope. I'll just be a tank in
Your
every
left
sense of the
tower
word
has
in this
been
one.
destroyed.
Okay.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
For your soul. Enemy missing. Be right back.
Just looking for things. If Uller was nearby, I wanted to snag him up.
Attack left tower.
You guys getting these lag spikes?
Yes. Everyone is mid. How did I... What? I thought I saw... Oh, it was the decoy, man. I got so baited by that. How was the decoy on gold when she was on mid? Damn, that's crazy. They were just all fucking there.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Sorry.
Well, that's really tragic.
Shut down.
Oops.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Well, there goes our lead.
No more tricks.
Ah, man.
Has been slain. Deicide. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your middle
Press the wrong button. I have too many actives, man.
has been destroyed.
Too many fucking actives. I forget which button it was. I wanted to press my shield. Not that it would have made a difference.
Your right tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
I don't know who this Amma is, but he's playing pretty well.
Been here long enough.
What Hyris could do for me is actually make a ping system, I guess. Not a ping system. Like, I need to see my ping or my latency. That way I can actually test things a bit easier,
Probably like
and I can.
minutes 26 group. Need to group, by the way. We keep going alone, we're gonna keep dying. I'll just lose.
I need people to just, or not people. I need Iris to simply make a system that I can actually fucking see, man.
An ally has been slain.
I can't help him. I'll just die with him.
An ally has been slain.
I feel like we need to focus the ammo next team fight, and like you said, actually group, but she needs to die first.
Show your soul.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant. An enemy has been slain.
Enough. Attack! Group up! Group up! Show your soul. Group up! Group up!
We look for fight now. There's one dead, we'll fight. We can take some fires.
Yeah, I'll get a Warhorn and then rotate over.
An ally has been slain. Double kill.
Whatever.
Your left tower.
Bro, yo, Sobek, bro, you keep talking about group and then you're just walking off, bro,
Why
on
we
your
not
own.
F6ing?
What do you mean, why are we not F6ing, bro?
We don't want to win anyways.
Bro, you trolled twice, by the way.
Is under attack.
I mean, we could just group.
Souls 3? The Morrigan Soul 3 just did 1,552 to me.
Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your titan is under attack. An ally.
I don't even want to fight this. Like, the grouping is definitely the right choice, but why are we fighting when I'm simply saying I'm getting the Warhorn?
It's time to surrender.
Can you not?
Just play the game, bro.
I'm so indifferent here. I'm just lagging.
We
I
didn't
just want to
group
get out of
once
this
for
game.
30 minutes.
We've grouped 3 times, just play the
This is
fucking
not
game.
enjoyable.
Just play the game.
To F6.
Just play the game.
How does that miss? I don't understand.
Your right tower is under attack.
They're coming to you.
Defend middle lane. Good game. The enemy team has destroyed the gold. Your right tower is under attack.
I mean,
Your right tower has been destroyed.
I'm not sure I've pressed my 3rd active a single time this game.
Torment for your soul.
Dude, let me move!
Oh yeah.
Phoenix is under attack. Double kill.
Me lagging while being... What the fuck?
Bro! Oh my god.
You have slain an enemy. Your Titan is under attack.
Sol, what are you smoking, by the way? Because I want some, not gonna lie.
Bro, upgrade my ult here. Fucking hell. Oh, dude, this slow is insane. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, Sol, flank all the way around. All of it. My god.
I don't need to back, actually. I have no reason to back.
I say, jolly good shows.
Enemy spotted.
Group I say, jolly good shows.
We're losing left, by the way. Just saying.
I'm defending left. Don't go into a fight, please.
Yeah, we should just let our Phoenix spawn and give up fire. If you really want to try and win this.
Please be careful. There's one more fire wave in left. I need to clear it. Right, I'm coming one way.
You will never be.
I don't understand how I even got that kill. There's no way I should have.
They don't have a single loot. Maybe I know this one.
Surely we're getting kills here.
We just run it down, maybe?
Benra just to fire with me.
Your middle Phoenix is under attack.
Go fire. Sol, go
Anubis'
fire.
build is basically Bruiser, and his one's doing 1,000
I'm gonna
damage
stay
in 3
defending.
6.
Go fire. Go fire! Fire! Fire giant! Fire giant!
You really want
my
Soul
God.
to do.
Your Titan is under attack.
Soul does seem a bit confused in this game. But it's so funny.
I'm gonna lose my head.
Failure really trying to make Soul do things.
Ruler is left.
It's too late now, just go back.
And we're not getting fire because Sol is branded. Let's go.
I require one. Everything.
Yeah, we could have gotten it if Soul did get there in time, but like it was still risky with Morgan coming up. But the fact that we got Morgan again is very good. We can still just go do fire.
Slain an enemy. The shifting sands.
I can't believe I'm having one of my best Mordred games though on a laggy ass server like this.
I have to back first.
If you're bagging, just
I'm
go
super
defend
low.
left.
Yeah, I had 100 HP. I got blinked on by Anubis. Well, not even blinked, but out of the bush anyway.
We need to get the armor here, guys. Careful.
I'm coming.
Dude, the lagging is making it so disorienting for me.
She's gonna kill me in one of her ones.
Yeah, I'm not a tank anymore either. She's behind.
Can you tank this? Tank this, tank this, tank this. Oh, Anubis is left.
Anubis is here. Careful.
You're gonna die to Anubis, all of you. Never mind, head rolled. We die anyways. Unlucky.
Oh my god, that's. Oh, I don't know what to say.
Centuries of waiting. I will not be
It's a great game. You died to fire as
I mean, that
well.
was just unfortunate timing, but the second you left it, he spawned the 5 rock things and it insta-killed me.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
It's okay, guys. We're improving. Now we're grouping as 5. W.
Let's get the Warhorn though, so we can actually get some lanes pushed. If we can just make the lanes push themselves, we're gonna be in
I
a great
take the
position.
buff.
Yeah, you can take it if you want.
Once more into the breach.
Okay, 2 of us are dead still.
I'm gonna back for some wards. It's interesting. My ult hasn't been beats a single time this game, I feel like. But I've hit a lot of ults.
Don't overextend if we can help it.
It's a Anubis ult. I thought that was good, honestly. I guess people just weren't close enough to really follow up on that very well. That's
we
tragic.
lost.
It's unfortunate.
I feel like we ended that a little bit. I mean, I've shit on loads of fights to be fair as well.
Yeah, I'm lagging too much to do anything at this point.
I hard lagged that fight as well. I can't lie. It pinged me about 4 times.
Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed.
We tried. This just sucks, man. Like, I could only get to press one button before I died there, after I got CC'd and got out of it. I'll give it one more shot. If I lag again in the next game, I will just stop, because it's not worth playing. I should have worded more this game, though. Maybe I need to tweet it out. Make an angry tweet again at Hi-Res. Tell them to fix their fucking servers. I had the same issue last night where I just kept getting laggy servers, so I just went Nua. Just went Nua. But I mean, that's still a situation where you need a team that can do stuff until you can just, you know, ult late game and do your thing. But it sucks, especially when you just wanna have fun playing the game, but game is just kind of working against you. I don't really know who I should be playing if I'm lagging either. I just hate that mindset too. Like I'm sitting here thinking, who could I play that could still work while I'm lagging? Like Hades is a pretty secure one. He's fine. You don't really have to do much either. You just kind of go in, press 4 and 3. Like it's kind of it. But I hate that mindset that I'm going into that, like expecting to lag. Even just in case, I can just do a quick speed test. Like I know it isn't me. I literally just played like teamfight tactics before this stream with 0 issue. I'm in 10 ping. I can literally look at my ping at the moment. No matter how I try to look at it, it's not on my end. But not a whole lot of other people seem to be experiencing it. It's just weird. Maybe I'm just a gigantic whiny ass about this stuff, and maybe people are experiencing it. They just don't care about it. But I don't know. I can't ignore it. It's too distracting for me. If I'm lagging just a little bit, I can't focus on anything but that. We'll see what happens though. If I can even get a game. Also finished the Wandering Market. No more stuff to buy. They're adding an actual store next patch, right? For skins and stuff? I feel like I saw that somewhere. Maybe it was in the last Titan Talk. Hey Benji, good to see you. It does suck that all the lagging is kicking in now, because I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Been winning a bit more as well, slowly rising up. But basically the same team. Well, it's 2 of the same players, but now we got the bib. It's gonna be that Anubis jungle. Fucking armor again. Are you in this game, Caps? You're on the enemy team. We hype for Arta? I'm sure a lot of people are pretty hyped for Artemis. I'm lagging too much in this fucking game at the moment to enjoy anything. But I'm not like I'm looking forward to Artemis, but I don't really play ADC in Smite 2, so that sucks.
Select your god.
Surely the Q pops fast this time, right? Now that I was already in the game. Yeah, I played PvE for too long. Missed like 2 patches in Smite. Now the map just feels bloated. It is bloated. It definitely is. I think it's better to... Maybe bloated is the wrong word, but there is a lot of stuff you need to take on the map for sure. It's not like you need to. It's more like stuff you do when there's downtime. Like the back harpies and stuff like that. It's not... You could min-max and just fully farm, but you don't have to do that. At least not in ranked. Unless your enemy is doing it, then you kinda have to, otherwise you fall behind. The woman voice gave me some big nostalgia to the God reveal videos back in the days. Yeah, I mean, she's the, like, announcing most of the stuff these days, right? Like, she is just kind of the normal announcer. I think. And I mean, then she's also, like, the newest God in Smite 1. What was she even called again? I forgot. She was so new. It was called something weird. Nut, yes. She was called Nut. Or Newt, I believe it was pronounced, or something like that. She just voices that god. Because she is essentially the lore lady in lore too. Newt. Yeah, it's Pingu. But yeah, in terms of my enjoyment for Smite 2 at the moment, I like the game a lot. But with the weird and laggy ass servers that I keep experiencing, it's really hitting my enjoyment level of it. I am definitely fatigued on the current gods. Pingu? Yes, Pingu. The penguin. He always went Newt, right? So like these two things combining my enjoyment, or this enjoyment, I guess, unenjoyment of Smite 2 at the moment it's apparent. I am definitely waiting for like a different game to release, so I can focus on that for a little bit, just so I can get a little break. And then simply hope on a bunch of copium here is that the servers will fix itself. Because I am so fucking tired of it. GTA 6, yeah, it's never coming out. I'm actually not much of a GTA player. I am not even a little bit excited for GTA. I'm sorry, guys. It's not a game for me. Rockstar games generally just isn't really for me. The only one I really played was Red Dead 2, which was recent. And while I did enjoy that game, there is definitely I have my gripes with it. The story is not one of them. The writing in the game is great, but the gameplay is just not much for me. It's too slow and stuff. I'm too much of an action enjoyer. I like some more fast-paced combat. Unless the world is really interesting to me, like The Witcher, I guess. Like, it's not full on action, but like it has a really interesting world, and that way I can get invested. But like, I'm not too invested in like the Old West. It's not a theme that I generally like that much. It's hard to see much hope with the amount of constant layoffs. Yeah, it's just kind of like a wide like industry problem, I suppose, with all the layoffs in gaming. Just too much USA humor. Well, I think that's pretty nice about it, to be honest. I think that the fact that GTA is a very real, like realistic game, I think is pretty cool. I think we do need games like that here and there. I just don't want it to be the only thing. As it's not really something that I necessarily enjoy that much. But like, I do think it's pretty cool. Like they do get inspired. Like they always have. Like they get inspired by real events happening. A lot of the stuff's happening in the game. Like, I don't know, it's just very real. It always has been. I did play San Andreas quite a bit when I was a kid. But the older I grew, the more I just kind of got into fantasy, like medieval fantasy. Just fantasy in general, I guess. Like, it just has to be unnatural. I want some kind of mystery. I don't like just doing stuff in our world. Like, I can do that in real life. I don't want to do that in games. So if I can do something like that, that's the best for me. Like, any type of fantasy. You can put fantasy and just mix it with real world stuff. That's fine with me. As long as there is something new and interesting about it. You can easily just do that. Same thing with sci-fi stuff. While I'm not the most into sci-fi either, I do like the mystery aspect of it. Just it could be anything, like any planet, any like whatever. You can just kind of make up your own thing. But if I had to choose a specific theme, it tends to be like medieval fantasy, like magic and dragons and shit like that. Very much D&D type stuff. And I mean, two somewhat big RPGs just came out with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well as Avowed. I did try Avowed a little bit, but I ended up refunding it. Not necessarily because I didn't enjoy it, but because I just wasn't in the mood for it. And it wasn't something that immediately grabbed me either. I essentially made like a small deal with myself that if it didn't grab me in the first 2 hours, I was gonna refund it. And it didn't really grab me, even though I thought it was okay. Because right now I am purely waiting for Monster Hunter Wilds. Because when that comes out, I will play it day one, probably all day. So I didn't want to start a new, bigger RPG unless it really grabbed me. So I kind of just made that small deal with myself. Spirit Dragon Mine was part similar with Pantheons and part fantastic with all the god abilities. Yeah, I don't think I don't know, actually, was it the Pantheon stuff that got me into it? Probably not. I just thought it looked fun. But I do think it was a big bonus for me, that it was gods. There was something you knew, because then every time a new god came out, you'll be like, holy shit, I love this god. Like when Thor wasn't out when I started playing. That's how old I am. How old I was when I started. Bakasura was the newest god, and he was the 19th god that came out in Smite. That's when I started playing. And Hades had just gotten a new skin. That's the two things that I remember. I forgot who the next one was though. All I remember is that like Sri Lanka was like the 29th or like 30th or something like that. Because they were doing the whole like the end of the world type thing. Because that was kind of his deal. In 2012. When like the Mayans said that the world was gonna end. It was like 2012 something, somewhere between there. I forgot the specific month and all that stuff. I think I bought my way into the beta in Smite originally. Yeah, the closed beta is what I bought my way into. I watched a YouTuber play it actually, and he still actually does content. I just haven't watched much of it, but I have seen him here and there. If people know Force Strategy Gaming, back when he was, yeah. How?
Select
It's
your
bots.
god.
Just a visual glitch. Let's pick something here before I continue my thought process. I didn't really feel like playing him, but like I guess I'll just do Hades because we need magic. So whatever. Yeah, so I watched Force Strategy Gaming. Yeah, he got me into Smite essentially. He was playing this cool god called Guan Yu, and Guan Yu was so cool back then. I actually still think he was much cooler back then than he is now. He had like a red face paint, or like basically a full run red face, and then he had like green armor. I just thought he looked super cool. I still really have so much nostalgia towards the old Guan Yu design. But then they reworked him at Gamescom, where I also ended up winning. Actually, my first LAN, they reworked Guan Yu. It was about then that they announced his rework, I think, or something like that. I forgot if he came out then, or if they announced the rework of him then. That was when they started like reworking gods to make them look way more realistic and a lot more lore accurate. Because back then we also had Sun Wukong, you know, in who is now Han Bats, be very different. He had a very different ultimate. It was way worse. It was terrible. It was a big circle, just like it is now, but instead it just feared you inside the big circle. So it was just kind of just. I guess it wasn't terrible, but it was just weird. It was fireworks. It was a much differently lowered Sun Wukong. It was like a fireworks related Sun Wukong, so he just threw fireworks. But then they reworked him to into Hun Butts, something that fit a bit more, made it a totem, and yeah. There are two of the same person here, except one of them has a weird A, which you can't see because it's behind my camera. The Cupid and the Athena have the same name. Yeah, he said. I'm pretty sure he said Happy New Year. With the ultimate. You were like Happy New Year. Because I believe they went with the the Chinese lunar. Maybe I'm wrong. The name of his Smurf is wrong. I see. What am I getting here? Dude, if I don't have beads, I'm fucked. What the hell? That's why I'm gonna go blink. I should still be fine with blink. I just gotta be a bit more careful. Alright, the big. Let's see. I'm not lagging this game. Great. We have a good server, boys. It happened. Yeah, it was Happy New Year. I remember it pretty clearly because I was dealing with that fucker a lot. I think I just remember all the old gods very easily because I played the game so much, dude. I played it so much in the first few years. Like, obviously makes sense why I became really good at the game because I played it a fuck ton. So, what a surprise. The guy who played it every day, like 12 hours, got good at it. Weird, huh?
Minions have spawned.
I mean, this isn't a good trade for you, man. I literally have a heal and you don't. We're losing about the same stuff, though. Is he hitting me because he has warriors? No, he doesn't. This guy plays weird.
Attack middle lane. Attack.
Oh yeah, my dash is instant cast. I do need to fix that. I changed it last Hades game because I literally couldn't dash. It didn't work. That's one of the things I was referring to early in the stream when I said that my last session of Smite has been the worst session I've ever played. Because, Jesus Christ, everything went wrong in my last session of Smite. When I was dual queuing with Dutch. We are cursed. We cannot queue together. Everything fucks up when we queue. Somehow still won that game though. Did they give codes for the black armor skin, Guan Yu, and the... yeah, they did. I think all the convention skins, like, originally, you know, there are codes at the event itself, but then they come back in, like, events form, and, like, chests and stuff later on. I'm just dead. As usual. As fucking usual. But at least the Herc blinked as well, so I got something.
Completed.
Guess I should have dashed. And he does that, dude. Fuck junglers, man. I hate junglers. Why would you do this to me? Ganks my lane, takes my backcams. Like, what the fuck, man?
You owe me. Thanks.
I guess I'm just not dashing the wave. I got it out, boys. I got it out.
Ultimate is
No more dashing waves. Because apparently monkeys might be behind me if I do that. I leveled the wrong thing. He doesn't know though. It's okay.
An ally has been slain.
Ultimate is down. On my way.
Okay. Might have thought I was gonna ult him, but... yeah, I brought back some for you and I guess my friends in general. Like I got a bunch of stuff. And I got so many Guan Yu codes.
Be careful.
And I think recently, well, when I came back to streaming, that's one of the reasons why I actually was kind of motivated to go back to streaming, was that I found, after I moved, I still found 2 Guan Yu Convention 2014 skins that I could give out, so I gave those out. Obviously that is completely irrelevant now in Smite 2, but...
Thanks.
Not too bad, guys.
Take this jungle buff. Your right tower is under attack. Killing spree. Your middle tower is under attack. Got a man up.
Ultimate is ready.
Enemy missing.
Okay.
Enemies have returned to base. Your middle tower is under attack.
I saw someone back, I guess it wasn't Herc.
Hit the dirt.
middle lane.
Not sure why this guy's here.
Be careful, right. Enemy ultimate incoming. Enemies in right lane. On my way.
Coming.
I mean, that could have been really big for him if he actually did that. I realized that I should have acted much sooner than that. But still big that I did.
Play safe, Ethan, please.
I actually could have done way better than that.
Enemy ultimate down.
Still. Weird that bot says ages. I guess it makes sense. There's not a whole lot to beats for him. But I still would have thought like Blink would even be better for him, honestly.
I have no beats.
And I'm building a pretty big lead now after that kill. That's a huge kill on bots for me. Suddenly I'm level 9.
Ultimate is down. Thanks. Don't miss me too much. Mana.
Yeah. Gigantic lead for me.
Enemies in right lane. Enemies in right lane.
An enemy has been slain.
On my way.
Both ults.
Okay.
On my way. Battle isn't over yet.
On my way.
An enemy has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Nice job.
Has been slain. An ally has been slain. I'll attack.
Be right back. Out of mana.
Yeah.
The unsung hero of that fight didn't get a single assist. Can you believe it? It's okay. I'll be alright. I know what I did.
On my way.
An enemy has been slain.
Astounding. You've got style. Almost as much as me.
I mean,
Enemies in right lane.
dude, Caps is sucking some Hercules dick this game. Holy shit.
On my way.
What the fuck do I build into this? I think I'll just do the usual build and just scale.
Your team has destroyed the gold fjord.
At least my team is good. They know what to do with that. I'll just sit back, I guess. I can't really walk up if bots is just gonna sit on my ass the whole game.
Your right tower is under attack.
Time to sit in tower. Or, as usual, just stop dashing for no reason.
Your right tower is under attack.
It's Herc building. He's full damage so far.
Be careful left.
Ultimate is ready.
Herc blink.
Be right back.
The pyro.
And I'll absolutely take the trade, I'll tell you that much.
Tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
know what Sobek is doing though. Kinda need him to stop.
Rampage. Take this jungle.
Hello, Pinda. It's going so-so. Like, I feel like I've been having some real shitty Smite games lately because my lagging is kind of back. The server lag has been real bad lately for me, and it is ruining my enjoyment for a lot of my time playing. This game I'm not lacking though, so I will enjoy it while it lasts. I am getting sit on by a bots though, which also sucks. But it's better than nothing. It's better than lagging.
Has been slain.
I'll tell you that much.
Attack fire giant.
On my way. Attack.
Enemy missing. Right. Careful.
He bouldered the buff.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Batter up.
Interesting. Don't see people build that item a lot these days. It's not bad here, but I think something else honestly would be better for him.
Your left tower is under attack. Excellent.
On my way.
We don't have enough stuff to beat, I feel like, for it to really be that good on him. If he just went for something like an Oni Hunters or even horrific? Not horrific. I don't know why I keep saying horrific. It doesn't even exist. Gargoyle. Screeching Gargoyle. Because that shit is annoying as Hades. It is by far the worst item to meet. Because if you dash in and you instantly get silenced, it's a nightmare.
Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing middle.
I called that a little late.
On my way.
An ally has been slain. Double kill. Triple kill. Killing spree.
Attack the Gold Fury.
Blunder. Please accept my apologies.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Successful rotation.
Enemy ultimate down.
I'm gonna get some early. I usually don't actually do this. Let's get Obsidian Shard in the 80s. I want to get Pen. I want to make sure that these tanks aren't gonna feel like tanks once we hit late game against me. Because otherwise I'm dead anyway. I kind of prefer the full damage angle on Hades and just one-shot carries. But I just have the feeling I'm gonna have a tank on my ass most of this game.
Ultimate is ready.
Ultimate is down. Be right back.
Oh. Bat 3. Forgot he had Blink. Should've just waited.
Enemies in left lane. On my way.
The
I'm
Pyro
going for
has
jungle.
arrived. An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
Very commendable.
I'll attack left lane.
Okay. Be right back. Ultimate is ready.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower.
Too bad. So sad.
Enemy missing middle.
Take this jungle buff.
Thanks.
Enemy missing right.
If I can farm up, probably be 20 in a few minutes. And bots is on the right side again. What a fucking surprise.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Okay.
Ultimate is down.
Enemies in the right lane.
Enemy missing right.
You owe me.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Attack left tower.
Bots are still over here.
Ellos attack left. Es que la Cina. Oh,
It's so tragic, man.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
The random jump into tower baited me so hard, man. It got my dash. I would never have dashed if I didn't think I could get a kill out of it. Then he aegis it. That was so fucking weird.
Under attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Banish the shadows.
That was the weirdest shit I have seen, and it got me so hard.
I
There was
got the
no way
sword,
that was
okay?
intentional.
Your right tower is under attack.
Finally getting somewhere in the queues. I'm happy for you. I'm definitely not. I'm having the worst time of my life. If I'm not getting camped, I'm doing stupid shit. Or I'm lagging. It's one of those three.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Be careful left.
Your
I'll
right
attack
tower
right
is under
lane.
attack. No problem. I'll attack right lane.
Astounding.
Please.
No problem.
You can share, I just need the XP as well.
Thanks.
Be right back.
On my way.
Enemy ultimate down.
Down.
On my way. I will be your shield.
An enemy has been slain.
Face me.
An enemy has been
Astounding.
slain.
I played that bad. I did not mean to blink. I pressed the wrong shit there.
Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed the pyramids. An enemy has been slain.
The Cupid's name is great. That's actually funny. I didn't realize.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Cupid's clay minion.
Enemies have returned to base.
Your right tower is under attack.
Attack fire tower.
Oh, is it Duchess Smurf?
I'll
Oh,
attack.
it's a pretty good name. I like it.
I 120.
My power grows.
Just got a shit ton of wards now. I don't have TP.
Be right back. Group up.
On my way.
Be right back.
I go with starter.
Man. Fucking new ball straight out of the base. Hate to see it.
Ultimate is down.
On my way. Slain an enemy.
Attack fire
left lane. Defend. Defend left lane. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to hide. All I need.
Your last tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
He's a noticeable behavior.
Ultimate is down.
Just notice him based on how he plays the game. Only a very few amount of people I can do that with. I feel like the bitch is the only one I can tell just based on how he plays. It was a bit easier in Smite 1 though. He doesn't play as crazy, I think, in Smite 2 as he did in Smite 1. Oh, I should have TP'd. Damn. That would have been perfect. No, now it's too late. The bitch is definitely one of the more obvious ones to tell. That's for sure.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. An enemy has been slain.
Attack middle lane. Attack left lane. Attack right lane.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy Phoenix.
I think I'm good.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy
Attack
Phoenix.
the Titan. Enemies in right lane.
I can't follow. My dash doesn't go that long, man.
I got the sword, let me tank.
I want to kill him.
GG.
No.
We have
We
completed
will.
our
Never mind.
mission.
Okay, we ended. I thought they surrendered.
Victory.
Is this a laggy server? No, it isn't. If anything bad happened, it was just because I was bad, or yeah, it wasn't because of lag. I actually had fun this game because I was just able to play the game and press my abilities, and they went off when I pressed them. That was great. It was definitely a bit uneven in terms of players, I would say. Nuwa definitely seemed a bit confused, and I don't know what Dutch was doing. So, it is what it is. Dutch is obviously a good player, but he does end at times. I would say that's his weakness. If Dutch has one weakness, it's he's got somewhat of a short fuse. He needs to keep a cool head and stay cool. Because he is cool. When he wants to be. Damn, the respect Neath ban? That's crazy. Tvåa. Vad lever du? Ja, vad lever du? Ja. No. No support, thanks. Ja, så kom. Så. Can't forget to pick something here.
Select your god.
Deep breaths, little dog. Aphrodite. Ugh. Sure, I'll grab him Saul. Okay. Aladdin was open? I didn't realize. Shit. The dog distraction. You didn't want me to get Aladdin, did you? Jug. All right. I definitely said Gap. I need something that deals damage this game. So Chug it is.
Shock.
What is their team comp? I can't tell. It was just put down, instantly just fell over. Slam. He's tired. Hello, Dutch. He is a great dog. Big W.
How wonderful.
I don't like how much it lagged when I just bought these potions. It's a laggy server. It's cooked. Oh man, it's actually 50-50 right now for me. That's crazy. Dude, look at that. It's like half a second delayed. High res. Please, man. I just want a non-laggy server. What the fuck do you think I'm queuing for my own region? I might as well fucking queue NA right now. It's insane. Like, what is happening? Dude, I don't even know why anyone else. Who am I against? Probably a good idea. Oh, you mean queuing NA? I would rather just stop playing the game, to be honest. I don't hate NA, but you know, I don't want to play with laggy servers. I don't want to play with lag in general. I just wish it wasn't lagging. That's pretty much it. I don't feel like I'm asking that much. The high-risk servers disagree. We'll see how bad this is. Generally, it's pretty bad on Chuck, because the teleport completely fucks up on my screen. We'll see if it happens.
Minions have spawned.
It's gonna be just as annoying as dashing with Mordred in my first game. At least on Chuck, late game I can FK a lot more than I can on Mordred. On Mordred I need to go all in and really just try and outplay someone to even have a chance of doing anything late game, and that is disgusting. Should have known. Disgusting newer players would do something like that. Best case scenario is now he comes for me. Yeah, okay, that's good. Because if he starts proxying in between now, it's going to be real tough for me. Because Chug is not good at dealing with that. That's actually good for me. This changes nothing. Why was Cupid even here? I don't really think there's a whole lot of gank potential from a Cupid in a lane where Nuwa is, especially in solo.
Your right tower is under
But maybe Caps just likes me. He was kind of sitting on my ass last game too.
enemy missing. An ally has been slain.
But somehow we lost the 2v2 over there, or whatever it was. Was it? Yeah, dude, they lost the 2v3? Cupid wasn't there. Doesn't fill me with a whole lot of hope and confidence in my team.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Well done. So it is Aladdin mid, right? Yeah. Okay. It's good. So all I really have to be afraid of is a Cupid ult, and I have pretty decent ways of dealing with it, so... He plays very aggressive. That bodes well for me. Once I finish my first item, which is now. Don't stop me. Shit, you fucking frog. Alright.
Enemy ultimate down. Gank left lane. Ultimate is ready. Enemies in middle lane. Chase the enemy. Enemy missing right. An enemy has been slain. Fury. Attack the gold fury. Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
I did think they were gonna be on my blue. Did not expect an Aphrodite here though.
Okay.
Dude, go away!
It is not yet time.
What is happening, man? I don't feel very loved in these lobbies.
Right tower is under attack.
Maybe I'm too loved in these lobbies. Let's get Transcendence going. I feel the ping, but it's actually not as bad in terms of TPing as it has been in the past. I think this is very playable for Chuck. I just hope that I won't have to react too fast to things, because that's where the problem is. It just won't go through. There is only a slight stutter on the TP.
is too bad. Impossible. Wait.
I feel like I fall for it too easily, but I do think the laugh or like the screaming gummy bears are very, very funny. It's too easy to make me laugh with that new skin.
Completed. Enemies incoming.
Yeah, might have gotten denied now. It's just trying to help my mid laner.
Your right tower is under attack. Wait. An enemy has been slain. You're too cool. No. Only run. On my way.
This fucking fog, man. Shit lasts for too long.
Double kill. Killing spree. Triple kill. You have a place by my side. Killing spree.
Attack the Gold Fury.
Well done, team. I'll just keep here. I'll keep the new over here, guys. Don't worry. I got you.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Yeah. Poking has begun. I can't tell. The impossible god to zone. Fucking new one. It's fine though, I'll just take everything she owns.
An ally has been slain. Curses. Your left tower is under attack. Slain an enemy. Double kill. Light up my world. Be right back.
I'll take this too, while I'm at it.
An enemy has been slain. Farewell.
I need cooldown. So I'm gonna do that first, but I really should get a brawlers in this game. I do have a pretty decent amount of anti-healing, or healing, I should say. I'm carrying all the Infinity Stones at this point. Just gotta head to Duo and pick up purple.
Enemies incoming middle. Incoming middle.
Godly wrath.
Save yourself.
On my shut down. Middle lane.
I accidentally hit. When did I heal my heal? That's a whoops. Didn't mean to do that. I'll say fuck my wave for now. Let's see if I can do something about her.
Your right tower is under attack.
He knew. He ain't getting away.
Gank. Middle lane. Face. An enemy has been slain.
Very good.
Farewell.
Should mean a free tower for me as well. I think I do enough damage to kill it.
Be right back. Face. Stay here, friend.
Actually, if she has TP, I don't have enough. Actually, that's not true. I do.
Only bastion left. Face. Face. Your team has destroyed the pyramids. Retreat. No.
This isn't really a good fight for us, buddy.
Face. An ally has been slain. Middle lane. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. You have slain an enemy. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. An enemy has been slain. Your right tower.
Damn, another speed buff for me?
Your right tower is under attack. On my way. Chase the enemy. Attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Oh, it's back. Finish some stuff.
Enemy spotted.
Be careful. Retreat.
Do not fret. On my way. Attack.
This fucking Emerald is still up, man. What have we been doing?
Fire giant. Unstoppable. Corona, you're too cool. Good game. Team has destroyed the fire giant. Your left tower.
Nemesis should take it. I don't think I should take that. Not with my lag. I can't fucking press that shit in time. No dagger for me.
has arrived. Face. Attack, fire giant. Enemy missing left. To the face.
Enemies in right lane.
Your team has destroyed the Pyramid.
Be
Careful, right. Yes. Attack left lane. Attack. Enemies in right lane. Oops. Enemies in right lane. Attack middle tower.
I'm going for this fucking speed buff again.
Your team might destroy the left enemy tower.
What?
Your right tower is under attack.
No way, man. He joined my speed.
Your team has destroyed a left enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
Ow.
Has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Good game. Glorious.
Alright. While this was pretty successful, I think I'm just gonna stop here because
Victory.
I would rather not play the game when it's lagging for me. Like, I do not know how hard it is to see on stream, but it's just not that fun to play. It's, like, if I meet actual legitimately really tough players to deal with, and I need to react fast, I just can't. Because it doesn't go off when I press the ability in time. So, I will just stop here. I do appreciate you guys stopping by as always, though. But I don't really know what to do about this, I'm not gonna lie. Because I do want to play, and I do want to stream, but, like, two out of 3 games I've played today has been lagging. Like, it's just... It loses its purpose for me then. I'll just go play something else where I'm not lagging. It's honestly just that simple. So yeah, I'm sorry, but also... I'm sure you guys probably understand. But thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. I will see you guys next time. Bye!